Welcome to KQEG and Seven Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week we bring you an inside look into sports, wellness, fitness here on Seven Rivers Sports. It's a rare opportunity for us to sit down with a legend in the world of coaching and teaching. Today and this week we welcome to the show Coach Scott Anderson.
Thank you.
Wanted to have you on the show for a long time, but knowing your personality, kind of reluctant. But this is going to be a great show because we're going to talk about the entire career of Coach Scott Anderson. By the way, happy Halloween.
And thank you.
I heard you celebrated it a few days earlier with your grandchildren.
We did, down in New Berlin, Wisconsin. And I happened to have a niece that was also running in the state meets, and I didn't get up there this year. So she joined us on Sunday, and I got filled in real quickly how all that all went.
Well, you're familiar with the state meet, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first of all, let's go back down memory lane, because a lot of people that are watching the show maybe don't know you from the beginning. In other words, going back to the early days of growing up in sports and family and teammates and so on. So let's start there.
Okay. So you're talking about my high school days?
I'm talking about that.
All right. My high school days were pretty low-key. I got involved with a variety of sports, trying to find something I could maybe think that I was fairly decent at. That got to be a bit of a struggle when I went through. Got into college, and I had a roommate who was an excellent baseball player. We were at Southwest State College, and I didn't want to sit around my dorm room all weekend alone, so I went out for track and field. And found out there was only one triple jumper at that time, so I decided to try and triple jump. That way I could make the team and travel with the team. And I was able to do that, but it kind of caught me going on as far as this track and field and running. And when I got hired by Al Baziner at Lincoln Middle School, he told me he'll hire me if I would take the middle school cross-country program. And I said, definitely I will do that. So that's kind of how it all began as far as the cross-country scene for me.
Let's go back again to those college days and or even prior to that, high school. And people, all of us have people that inspire us along the way. Mm-hmm. And set the stage for maybe a career as a coach and a teacher. Did you have one of those?
Well, yeah. My father was a track and field coach. He was an excellent sprinter down at Winona State. And I watched him coach at the high school level. But he told me he didn't want to see me going out for track and field. He was an assistant coach, didn't see eye to eye with the head coach at that time. So he persuaded me to try the game of golf. But watching him and his excitement with the sport of track and field definitely got into my bloodstream a little bit.
What were his thoughts then when you went away to college and pursued track and field?
What were my thoughts on that?
His thoughts.
I think he probably did a few Hail Marys hoping that I could, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of athletic ability in me at that time to try and make it, but I had a pretty good work ethic, which I think helped out greatly. And I think he never even saw me compete at the college level, so that'd be a question I can't really answer other than the fact that I think he was excited I was trying to try the sport.
Well, I mean, you always deflect to other people, and that's kind of your style and your personality, but to be a college athlete is pretty rare, and it says a lot about your gifts. So you come to lacrosse, and you go to Lincoln and get a job for Al Baziner, who's a friend of mine, and begin your teaching career. And at that time, the cross country was not very popular at the middle school level, and so you sort of brought a program to life.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was excited about it, so we were getting kids out. At the high school level at that time, there was a legend, his name was Dick Mitchell going, but the girls had 1 year before I actually jumped into that position, and they didn't even have a team at that time. They only had a couple runners out. So at Lincoln, it was my excitement of having a job. You know, you're a young kid, and instead of paying out college, now you get to make some money. So then it was a matter of echoing in the hallways, come on out for this sport. And we got a good handful of kids out, excellent kids, in fact, and kind of got that program going.
Well, good coaches do indeed market and sell the sport to kids. They don't wait for kids just to come to them. They reach out. Whether the student athlete has any ability or not, that has nothing to do with it. Would you agree?
Yeah, probably, from the fact that I think selling is huge. Developing a relationship and trust level was probably one of my main concerns, you know, because you're taking young kids and telling them that this will be fun to run 3 to 5 miles a day, and they're not quite sure if that's true or not.
Well, of course they're not. But just to clarify and rephrase, I think the job of coaches, and you did it so well as a teacher coach, is to sell athletes, sell students on the importance of education, the importance of being in co-curricular activities, and build them, and take maybe an athlete with not a lot of skills and create some confidence in them, which often translates into becoming a good athlete.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think most of us that coach this sport, cross country, I can remember Mr. Barron saying right away, as he became my new athletic director and got to know the kids, going, the athletes you get to work with. I mean, we're talking, and I like to use this always when I'm talking about my athletes, they're student athletes. They were excellent in the classroom, high GPAs, and so with that, you had just an incredible human to work with, you know.
Well, let's talk quickly about your teaching, though, because that's what you're hired for first. Good teachers, oftentimes good coaches, synonymous. Thinking back to my coaches throughout high school, college, they were also great in the classroom, and you were too. Some thoughts about your teaching career?
Well, I loved it. It was very difficult to finally kind of call that, you know, to end it, but I absolutely couldn't wait each day to get to the classroom, not only from the standpoint of wondering what was going to be communicated from the kids that day. I mean, there was, you know, kids say the darndest things, and they definitely do, but at the same time, to try and get someone that really isn't too excited about being in the classroom and try and change some behaviors for trying to understand that if they give some good effort, they can get through this and, you know, find themselves being successful later in life. And that was real encouraging for me to watch from 6th grade, hoping to get that started for them. And then, you know, I got to coach high school, so I would see these kids in 6th grade, and then as juniors and seniors, you see the wonderful kids they have become.
But what surprises me, maybe a little bit, what is encouraging and special to me about what you said, though, is that each and every day for 3 decades that you taught, you were excited to get there, and you never lost your enthusiasm. I'm not sure that's typical.
I can't answer for others. You know, you see some who, and you will probably realize that too when you're at the boys club and working with other adults, that they're not so excited about what they're doing. But I had a pretty good set of good friends. We were talking about one earlier with Pat Marsh, and our excitement was always there in the middle school setting and the classroom. So I I don't see why anybody wouldn't have enjoyed that moment, but to me it was awesome.
Well, my wife, who taught for 40 years, had the exact same approach every day until the day she retired. And that's why education becomes contagious. You draw on the energy of students, and it is a powerful career. And when you look back on it, you were blessed, weren't you?
Yeah, oh, there's no doubt about it, you know, and reference to your wife, I know a couple of my kids had Chief for a teacher, and that definitely was shared with me at home, you know. Kids read that real quick. They can really read an adult and make that connection or not make that connection.
Right. Well, when we come back, we're going to drill down to your coaching career at La Crosse Central, and we're going to do that and share some stories when we come back right after this.
With our busy lives, it's a comfort to know that we can still remember loved ones in a traditional way with a monument. Lewiston Monuments in Lewiston, Minnesota has been helping families purchase a monument for over 4 generations. You'll find a large selection of beautiful granite, marble, and bronze monuments, all at competitive prices. And they're a full-service company, so they also do straightening, cleaning, and repair of monuments. Stop in or call for a no-obligation consultation, or visit lewistonmonument.com for more information.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. As I said at the beginning of the broadcast, a rare opportunity to sit down with a legend in coaching track and field and cross country, Central High School, Scott Anderson. Well, 35 years as a head coach. Now, listen to this, please. 27 state appearances, 4 gold, 5 silver, 5 bronze, 4 times state cross country coach of the year, MVC coach of the year several times, and then finally inducted into the Wisconsin Cross Country Hall of Fame for coaches in 2006. I don't know how many people in the country can would have a resume quite as impressive as that. I mean, that says a lot about what you did over the years. Thoughts on that?
When you get to sit back and reflect a little bit, yeah, it definitely is a great feeling inside. But at the moment when I was building on that, all I could think about is, now how are we going to get competitive next year? So you're always thinking about, okay, this year was awesome, now who do I got coming back next year, and going on that. Now that I have a chance to sit back, yeah, I think my kids probably, I had one that ran against me all the time, and she was frustrated many years because they couldn't quite get there, and she would see me getting there with our teams, and she put a lot of things in perspective for me as far as, well, Dad, just somebody to be there that long, I don't see that happening anymore in high school sports. And then with the accomplishments the girls and I have had there, it definitely is heartwarming.
Well, how difficult was it, though, for you to step aside?
To step aside, real. I mean, what happens in this sport that I really feel, you know, so special about is that you get a freshman coming in and you work with them 4 years, and most of these runners also compete in track. So I'm working 2 seasons with them for 4 years, and you get to really kind of get to know each other pretty well. So when at the moment I'm thinking this is time to leave, you know, there was many reasons, and it was time for me to leave, let some new blood come in, get it going. But the hardest thing was those that I had been working with already a couple of years, to say I wasn't going to come back was difficult.
I'm sure it was after 35 years, and that kind of a commitment and high expectations, and they grew every single year because of the success you had. I'm sure, like all of us, you have a lot of highs, but there were some lows too. You must have had some situations, some years where you had some disappointments.
Yeah, I was looking at the shirt that I told you I brought in, and kind of, I don't look at it often, and I look at the years as far as, oh, well, this year we did that, and oh, we didn't do too well that year. And a great story I share, it was a low, but at the same time it was an incredible high. I'm sitting at the mile mark in about 1989, and my #1 runner is coming through second to last. And we were expecting her to be in the top 10. And I'm going, oh, what is going on? It has to be between the ears, because I knew physically she was ready. And I watched her, and she stayed #2 all the way through to the finish line. I got up to the finish line. Believe it or not, that year we ended up winning the state title without your #1. I don't think that could ever happen. But when I saw her, talk about a low, because I know for her that was very difficult for her to try and finish that race way back like that.
Coaches are difference makers. Coaches are all about relationship building. Let me just share a couple of things. Jane Pinkowski, remember her, Megan Dagenhart, and Kenzie Felon said, Coach Ave, for the years that we ran, impacted our lives a great deal. Not only cared about us as successful runners, but as individuals. The training runs were all about building relationship, but the countless people that Coach A would meet on his bicycle and was referred to as a cool coach with a speaker on his bike were fond memories of those 3 athletes.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened quite often. That was one nice thing about being able to stick around this long is coming across mothers now, and that was kind of different for me. All of a sudden I'm getting runners' children, running for me, which is...
I can relate to that, by the way.
Yeah, it's quite a... whoa, kind of a feeling, but at the same time, it's pretty special because I'm sure they got war stories that they can tell their kids as they come into the program. But yeah, that happens off and on, and it's good to see that those that were running just recently enjoyed that part of it.
Fond memories from Jane, Megan, and Kenzie, and your lasagna dinners, and it was always a great day to run as a Central Red Raider runner under Coach A. Well, I also talked to Morgan Sanger and Violet Weibel, and they were state champs. They were elite runners at the in cross country and track and field. And the one thing that struck me when I talked to them, it's the phrase, it's all about love. Yeah. Love for your teammates, love for yourself, love for your community, love for your school, love for your family. They said the thing they took away the most was it's all about love.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I worked real hard on, was trying to develop our family for that season. And with that, we use that saying quite often, when before each contest we would definitely get in our round group, you rah rah before we're going to start, and that was a word that we used quite a bit, was compete for the love of each other.
Exactly, and there's something special about the culture of runners, and we've talked about that many times on the show. And as a quasi-competitor myself, a weekend runner, a weekend warrior, I've sensed that same culture. But Morgan and Violet also talked about the coach's purse that was famous when you were having your iPad in there, and also about the ball of tenacity. Share for our viewers what the ball of tenacity was all about.
I'm not quite sure, to be honest.
It was actually the ball with a ribbon that went to the athlete that worked the hardest and that challenged the most.
Yeah. I didn't do that for a long period of time, but I did that a little bit where we would share. It doesn't have to always be your number one runner. You could have a great improvement from your 16th, 18th runner, improving that year, and it was just a chance to try and recognize anybody and everybody as much as we could, you know, because it's not the media sport. A lot of times your coach and your parents are about the only spectators sometimes at these places until you get to the state meet. So we try to encourage and highlight athletes along the way, and I guess that was that ball of tenacity.
It was the ball of tenacity, and it's all about an acronym that I've used in my coaching team. Together, everyone accomplishes more. And that's exactly what you did. And finally, I talked to Flannery Serban. Who I know from an elite runner, went on to college and became an elite runner, has run marathons, and now is a wellness coach. And she talked about the fact that you really nurtured her passion and her excitement for running and for races. And she was so full of praise and appreciation for the fact that what you did for her, and you continue to talk with her. And again, it's about relationship building. And she said something interesting. Coaching is a mix of science, understanding physiology, and art, and that's camaraderie and psychology. And you were great at that. And I've not heard that said before about getting the most out of your athletes, and she credits you for her success, and she continues to have success, by the way, as you very well know. So there's an athlete that you have fond memories of.
Without a doubt. That's what is so fun. You know Facebook, and through Facebook I had two athletes that just had birthdays. One was turning 54 and one was turning 56, okay, that I got to coach back and to stay connected and find out what awesome adults they are. And Flannery was definitely one of those ladies that just excited the daylights out of me. She had a team of teammates that I just got a chance to go to Flannery's wedding, and her teammates were there, and you know, I'm looking at a doctor and I'm looking at a lawyer, and I'm going, yep. It's awesome to work with them as high school athletes, but probably what is more exciting is to see the wonderful adults they have become.
So a lot of questions are asked to coaches when they tell, how do you measure success? How do you want to be remembered? Would I be correct in saying the success you had with all the championships, 27 times to the state, and 4 state championships, and being in the Hall of Fame, the most important thing to you would be relationship building and the continued dialogue you have and the connections with your former athletes. Would that be correct?
Right on, Terry. In the moment, you know, we approached every single year with goals. You know, want to try and win a conference championship, want to get back to the state and see how much damage we can do there. But in the long run, it seems, we were just talking about this with my niece, when we got to that state meet and we would get in our little group before we go, you look over and every single one of the seniors has tears coming down their cheeks before they're going to get on the starting line. Sometimes I get a little bit nervous about that, but it was all those emotions. They know what we've been doing over all these years, and this will be it for them. And it really moves me as a coach when I'm in that situation with them. But more importantly is, okay, we're at the end of this chapter, but knowing what the next chapters are going to be for most of these kids, because just of who I've learned them to be. Now look at, like I say, with Flannery and these kids, they just are incredible adults, and I'm glad that I can still be a part of connecting with them and, you know, offering a joke here or there, or whatever it might be about the past days.
Or a shoulder to lean on. So the question is, how do you want to be remembered as a coach and a teacher? You already answered that question. I don't need to ask that. So, but again, it's been great to have you on and reflect on your career and talk about some of the athletes, and a good friend and iconic coach, and will be remembered as a tremendous teacher and coach in the school district of La Crosse. Thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you very much, Terry, for having me.
All right. We'll be back with some clips from the Bangor win last Friday right after this.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team.
Who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is our business.
When you're faced with the decision of selecting a monument to honor someone dear to you, call Lewiston Monuments for a no-obligation consultation. Lewiston Monument is a full-service monument company, serving families in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin for over 4 generations. You'll find beautiful granite, marble, and bronze memorials, all at competitive prices. Their experts can help you design the perfect and unique memorial. Lewiston Monument. Call today or on the web at lewistonmonument.com.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Scott Anderson, an icon throughout the state of Wisconsin as a cross-country and track coach. Well, Rick and I were at Bangor on Friday for round 2 of the WIA postseason football playoffs. Defensive units responded well in the first quarter, 0-0 after 1. On to the second, only one score as Carter Horseman found pay dirt from 4 yards out, 7-0 Bangor at intermission. 2 TDs by the Cardinals in the third. Horseman, 25-yard run, and an 8-yard run by Jaden Noctegal from 2 yards out. The final TD in the fourth on a Hank Reeder 1-yard run. Horseman, 22 carries, 182 yards. Bangor, 349 yards on the ground in their 10th win of the season. Eleva Strum closes the year 6-4. Bangor moves on to host Highland in round 3 on Friday in Bangor, and we'll be there to bring you that game. Final score from Bangor, the Cardinals 28 and Eleva Strum 0. Well, thanks for joining us this week on Seven Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping you will have an active and a healthy week ahead.